Alright guys, welcome to another review video. This one on the Troxus Vulcanus full-size electric bicycle. Try to keep this video fast-paced and honest. Taking a look inside the box, you can see they did a pretty good job packaging it. However, right here we do have a little bit of scuffing, scraping going on. I guess maybe there was supposed to be a piece of foam on top of that, but there wasn't. And now on the bottom of the box, it actually did kind of all the staples, and that was just sitting, but it never did open. Let's just take a look on the bottom, see if there's any damage. No, not at all. So pretty good job packaging. That minor scuff is not a big deal. So now we're going to go over some assembly tips, go over the features, take it for a good ride, and I'll let you know how it works. And we've got all that packing stripped away. As always, remember to cut your zip ties in a fashion where you can still reuse them, especially the thicker ones. So I did a full 360 on this. I don't see any other damage. It's really just that little paint scuff on the fender. It's not even a dent. And they did a nice job protecting the axles on it, or the axle nuts, should I say, with these covers. That protects the cable too. So this does have a Shimano 7-speed cassette on the rear, paired with the 5-speed pedal assist. Now this is a hub motor, 750 watts. And one thing I'm noticing that I don't love is this cable's just all frayed out like that. So it'd be nice if they had thrown a cap on it. But of course, if somebody walks by that, they're gonna get cut on their leg. So I'll make sure to cut that and throw some tape on it. Or a small cable ferrule, and that'll do. Could also use a piece of heat shrink. Anyway, back to a few of the specs. It's got cable-driven disc brakes on the front and rear. The front telescoping forks have adjustable preload on the left and then a lockout on the right. So right now, it'll be able to go up and down, and then if you just twist that, that locks them out. It's got an advertised weight of 72 pounds with a payload capacity 275 pounds. The battery, a Samsung 48-volt 16-amp-hour with an advertised range of 30 to 53 miles. The keys for the battery come tied to the cable, and your first step should always be getting this battery on charge. So it does have a meter on the top. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's got 4 green bars. However, that doesn't always mean it's fully charged. Each of those usually means 25%. So to take it off, twist the key fully, it springs back, so hold it there, and see if I do this one hand. Pull this lever out and then slide, there we go, slide the battery off. So we can do that one-handed. Feels like pretty good construction. See, it has this little tab on the bottom that when you put it in, you got to line that, and then slides in right up here. That's your battery lock. The charger it came with outputs 54.6 volts at 3.0 amps. Down on the side of the battery, you pull this little cover, plug her on in. We can see our light has turned red, so we'll let that charge until it's got a green light go. Of course, you don't have to pull it out of the bike to charge it, but having a removable battery is really nice because you can easily carry a couple of these with you if you're going on a long trip. And the other stuff it came with is a little pack of grease, your owner's manual, aluminum pedals, or aluminium, however you want to say that, a headlight this does get plugged in. I was hoping that wasn't a battery operated one, so there should be, yep, there's a harness for it up here. A wrench, Allen multi-tool with some other pieces on there, and a reflector for the back. I did just flip through the manual, and it pretty much just has specifications, safety tips, and then it goes over the display functions in here. So I will put some images of this at the end, or some video clips, but there's no assembly tips. However, it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't know why they left the grease, maybe for the pedal threads, I'm not sure, but we're not going to use the grease. So in a nutshell, right pedal righty-tighty, left pedal lefty-tighty. Go ahead and thread those on, snug them down. Remove the 4mm Allen head bolts from the bar clamp. You can use the tool they gave you or your own tools. And then swing your bars around into place, but make sure you route the cables properly. You might have to twist them a little bit to get that looking pretty. And put that clamp back into place and snug her all down evenly. You do have indicators in here to make sure that the bars are centered side to side and position them where you're comfortable. Sometimes it's a good idea to just wait till after you get the wheel on before final torque, but don't go for a ride and forget to. This came with Kenda tires. These are 4.0 by 26. When you're putting the front wheel on, just make sure that the disc slides in between the 2 brake pads. You got to make sure, don't go squeezing this lever, the brake lever, until you put this wheel on, because otherwise you'll push those pads together and then you might have trouble getting this on, especially with hydraulic brakes. But spin both the nuts out like so, and you should have even threads on each side, and if you don't, you might need to make some adjustments on the axle. But you see this inner nut, is loose. I don't know if you guys can see that. That one, you want to bring that down pretty much, you know, snug it hand tight. You don't want to leave that loose. You would damage this if you secured these down and left the inner nut loose. Here's a closer look at it. See, this one was left real loose. So I'm no bicycle mechanic, but at least hand snug it down, and there might even be a, you know, you might want to tighten that down. There should be a spacer in here, so it shouldn't preload the bearings, but as long as it's no play, you're fine. Before you go snugging these nuts down, always make sure that the axle's sitting flush into both sides of the forks. Like if it's sitting on an angle or not fully seated, you're gonna have issues. So it's almost a good idea to have somebody push down when you snug these. But I did just notice an issue. Do you guys see the problem here? So of course it goes nut, washer, fork. However, these nuts are on backwards. So the serrated side, unless both sides are serrated, let's find out here. Okay, it's only serrated on one side, so the serrated should go against the non-rotating part. And you see it came the same way on the other side. So little details, guys. Another tip I'm going to give you is after you're done doing everything I show you here, always I recommend to go over every nut and bolt on this and make sure everything's tight. You know, because if you guys go take this out and something comes off, it's not going to be pretty. So again, a little downward force, making sure it's seated. You can snug those 15 mils down with a socket or the supplied wrench, which is kind of small. Good and tight. Make sure your wheel still spins freely. Beautiful, nice and straight. You can raise your seat by opening this clamp, and then you see we're gonna need some adjustment on there. So all you do, should be able to do it by hand. Yeah, spin this down a little bit so that when you fold the clamp over, you get nice positive locking force. Like even that's not gonna be enough. So you shouldn't be able to rotate the seat. Don't forget to slide your reflector on. It does come with a little tail light here. I kind of like the ones that are mounted on the fender right at the back, because if this is on the left side, you know, somebody, depending on where they are, they might not see that if they were off to your right. The aluminum front fender went on like a breeze. You do have slotted adjustment here, so I had to tweak with those a little bit, and the 4mm Allen behind it on this little L bracket. I did have to, you know, straighten those and snug them because they weren't straight. So I went on the light, just bolt, fender bracket, light, washer, nut. Two separate wires for the light were not marked negative or positive, so I just plugged them in and we'll see if that works. Tires are rated for a max of 30 psi. I'm going to set mine up at about 25. Which, speaking of tires, best upgrade ever. These Tannis Armor tire inserts, these things are incredible. I installed some on another bike, have not had a flat since, and they were such a breeze to install. It's just an ingenious idea. I mean, it's a little foam insert and you get a lot more protection you know, from small punctures. The battery's not fully charged yet, but I'm gonna do a couple quick tests. So to put this in, you drop it down, and doesn't look like you need the key. You just boom, snap her into place. With the battery in, it adds quite a bit of weight up front, and not sure I'm a big fan of this rear kickstand. I don't think it's long enough, you see, because I mean it's sitting here on flat ground, and it doesn't take much for me to kind of push that over. Like if you put it down kind of anywhere quick, it's gonna fall. Kickstand definitely needs, I don't think there's any adjustment on that. Well, I'll be darned, there is adjustment on the back of that 3mm Allen. You loosen this and then you can pull that out. Very nice. Never had to adjust one. Well, let's try that again. Same spot. Ah, much better. If I let go of it, it's not gonna fall over. I like that it comes factory with my favorite style bell. It's really a bummer when I see these, that some of these bikes don't come with lights or a bell. It's definitely a bummer to see that. Let's take the plastic off from the screen and let's fire this up. Right down on the bottom is our power button. Held that and boom, there's your first look at the screen. It fired up really quick. Has 1.3 miles on it. I'm not sure why that is, but I do like that it's not in kilometers. I don't like that the throttle's on the left side. So most of my bikes that I've used, and the motorcycles, has the throttle on the right side, twist grip. You know, I don't mind this throttle style. I just don't like when they're over here. However, these bars look like there's probably enough room if I wanted to switch it over. But whatever, that's a personal preference thing. You see we're at 78% battery life. So in gear 1, yeah, it's powering it up. Let's see if I go down to gear 0. Okay, it turns it off completely, so you get no pedal assist and no power on this. Of course, you got these to cycle through those power settings. This is the lights, okay? I pressed that once, and there's a look at the front headlight. Doesn't look very bright. Definitely have seen some better lights, but the tail light is actually shockingly bright. Let's try out the brake. Okay, the brake, it goes into flashing, and it does have a brake switch on both levers. Speaking of, no adjustment needed on these brakes as of right now. They actually feel excellent. What's this button up here? So when you press this, that cycles through. You got 13.7 amp hours. The odometer, 1 mile. Max speed, 0. Average speed, 0. Okay, let's see if these gears are gonna need any adjustment. I'm in gear number 1, and so here goes 2. Went in, 3, yep, 4, 5, 6, barely pedal, sorry about the bad camera angle, and 7. Yes, those are all dialed in. A lot of time I have to make big tweaks. Javelin's looking good, right? But this one seems like it's already adjusted. And downshifting back to first. Yeah, she's dialed in pretty good. And let's try out Power Assist 1 real quick. If I start pedaling, nothing so far. Oh, all right, that felt really nice. Some bikes I've ridden, they just kick in all of a sudden and there's like a big delay on or off. This feels, it comes in soft, but then grabs nice. And also when you stop pedaling, check this out. It's instantaneous off pretty much. So some of the bikes like the Himalaya, it would go for, a solid second and enough to really get you in trouble. So at this point, I'm gonna plug her back in, fully charge it up, and we'll do a range test another day because it's Thanksgiving. So happy belated Thanksgiving to you guys, since, you know, I won't be posting this video today. But I am really excited to see what the range ends up being. I'm hoping for 15 miles, since at least, you know, since it's usually half of what these companies advertise. I think they're advertising it including what you would do with pedal assist, you know, but we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to you then. All right, next day we're ready for range test. It's raining all morning, but the sun just came out, got a couple hours of daylight. Let's give it a go. We have the green light, and this is gonna be flat ground, no pedal assist. I'm 180 pounds, 6'2", and we'll see what kind of range we can get. I'm gonna get cruising, bust out a few miles, and then I'll let you know my first thoughts and tips on the bike. So briefly talking about this pedal assist, as you're pedaling, you don't have to put any power in. You know, on speed 1, I'm doing 10 mile an hour. On Power Assist 2, it bumps us up to about 13 mile an hour. Power Assist 3, 17 mile an hour. In 4, we're doing 20 mile an hour. And in setting 5, it holds 25.5 mile an hour. Again, not even pedaling, you just kind of rotate the pedals. Rides really nice, no hands too. Now I do want to note, the only way you hold that 25 mile an hour is if you keep rotating the pedals. If you are doing 25 and you stop pedaling, you push down the throttle, it's only going to do 20 mile an hour with the throttle. The only way to do 25 is if you're rotating the pedals. And there might be settings in here to change that, but from the factory, that's the way it is. Uh-oh! And we're indicating a speed of 20.0 miles an hour, which on our GPS, you can see it's a solid 20 mile an hour. So that's accurate. We start pedaling, bring that up to the 25. Yep, no problem. It's always nice to see an accurate speedometer from the factory. It's always fun to stop here and walk across these beams. It's funny how easy this is when there's, you know, it's only water underneath you, but if there's hundreds of feet of a fall, it gets a lot harder. I wonder what this used to be. I mean, probably for some industrial stuff here back in the day. But what a neat structure. I mean, it's sturdy. Build a house on top of here, be able to fish right out of your floor. Be pretty cool. Oh! Well, I just got booby trapped and post holed in. Some erosion taking place. Like, look over here. Oh yeah. Whew! We just hit the 10-mile mark, started at 1.3 miles on the trip, so 63%, and we're indicating on Map My Run, or Map My Ride, whatever, 9.63 miles. So a little bit inaccurate, which is surprising since the speedometer was so accurate. First impressions, I'm really loving the bike. One thing I did notice is that the seat is very firm, so if you don't have cycling shorts on, this can get a little bit uncomfortable compared to the other bikes I have. Also, these front forks, the rebound is pretty, like, it's almost like there should be a little cushion up top. On some of the bikes I've seen, they have that, but when they rebound, it definitely hits hard on the top. Onward ho it is, almost to our first destination, where I gotta run a couple errands, then we're gonna turn back and hopefully make it back home. I'm feeling pretty confident that we're gonna get 20 miles out of this if the battery percentage is accurate. We'll see. Gonna end up being a dark ride home, but check it out. I was just over at the embroidery shop, and the first ever double NKH beanie, well, first ever for this logo, and there's a first look at it. So I'm thinking it's a little bit big, but if we go any smaller, definitely gonna have to remove the no nonsense, no hell from it. So on a t-shirt, probably keep that, but on a beanie, I don't know, what do you guys think? Too big, too small? Definitely not too small, but trying to have a few different hats too. So merch hopefully coming in the near future. And there's the sun again. Maybe got like a half hour's of sun. So while I'm riding errands around here, I'm not running the battery down. And of course I have the display off, so we're not calculating any mileage using my power on the pedal, since this is a full electric run. But I gotta say, this thing rides really, really nice without power assist. Some of the other bikes I have, you can really feel the weight and just extra lag riding around, but this thing glides nice. We're now set out on the trek home, got 11 miles to go, and we're starting out at 60% battery life. So let's see if it makes it. We're now at 48% and it's holding a solid 23 on the flat still. And remember, I'm just rotating my feet, I'm not putting power in. But I gotta say, this bike out of the box, the way it's geared, like, I can still pedal and put power in and assist at 24 mile an hour, and I'm just gonna say they really dialed it in right with the gearing on this bike. Like, I don't know how else to put it. You know, I'm not gonna do that on the way home, but if normally riding this bike, I would certainly be pedal assisting the entire time, even at 25 mile an hour. What I'm trying to say is every other electric bike I have, out of the box, without re-gearing it, you cannot pedal assist at anything over, let's say, 17 miles an hour. So the fact that you can still pedal assist at 25 mile an hour on this is a huge deal to me. Well, I just noticed a major problem. Haven't looked down at this in maybe a mile or so, and you notice anything wrong? Well, yeah, it says we're doing 9 mile an hour, so it seems to have froze. Let's see, this is the power button right here. I know you guys can't see too well, but trying to hold that and power it down, and it doesn't want to power down. You know, it's funny is I don't even bring the keys to the battery either. And without having the keys to the battery, I'm not going to be able to do a hard reset. Let's see how many bars are on this. 2 bars on the battery still, and we were showing 39%. The weird thing is it still works fine. Like, it's just the display that locked up, so that's really going to mess up our calculations on range. How about if I disconnect the display and reset it? Okay, there it goes. So now we're down at 33%, showing 17.5 miles on the trip when it was just showing 18 before. So it must have been, I suppose that means it locked up a half mile ago? I don't know, guys, unfortunately, but let's keep on trucking. I mean, in their defense, I was riding over some really bumpy, rough stuff, but I didn't even notice this when I was passing by the first time, but some beautiful artwork here. Love it. We've made it back to the capital city, still have 27%, so it looks like I'm gonna have to run some detours and rack up a few more miles. Let's see if these steps cause it to freeze up again. Shallow steps. Oh yeah. Nope, still going good. So I'm quite literally just dodging all around here, trying to rack up some more miles, guys, because this is going a little bit further than I expected it to. We've now hit 10% and showing an empty flashing battery flashing, indicating a 23.1 miles on the trip. So it's still running strong as can be though. 2 miles later, 0%. Still going pretty good though. Still holding 17. And there it is. That 0% actually went for quite some time, running pretty strong at 27.5 total miles. So minus 1.3 is 26 miles. Plus, I think this was froze up for at least a mile or two. So I'm gonna call it 28 miles we got out of it, range-wise. Got her back home, plugged in the charger, and I'll let you know right here how long it takes to get fully charged till green light. Usually, with battery this size, 6 to 8 hours is what I generally see. And I suppose we're ready to cap out the video. So overall, I was very impressed with how the bike rode and performed. The biggest glitch was the fact that the display locked up on us, so that was certainly a problem we'll have to see in the future if it does it again. And otherwise, nothing I could really complain about. I mean, the frame didn't crack in half, and it performed fairly well. The seat was the only other thing I mentioned, and you know, you can always swap that out for something different. People do like hard seats anyway. I personally like one that's a lot softer. As I mentioned, the gearing on this, I really like that you're able to pedal while doing the 25 mile an hour. However, I think I'll probably order, I just counted these teeth, and this is a 44 tooth chainring sprocket, whatever you want to call it. But on Amazon, you can get these for about $20, and I might bump this up to a 52 tooth, very easy to swap out. And then that way, when you're doing 25 mile an hour under full power assist, you can really thump and with your legs and give it some power. And I think if you're fairly athletic, pedaling hard, you could easily get 50 miles range out of this. Something I didn't mention was the USB port right here. So if you want to charge your phone, you got that. You just run a cable up to, these should always come with phone mounts on them too, but maybe they don't put them up because of liability. Most bikes I see a USB like that up on the display, but this one's down on the battery. That's fine. So, if you have the battery out, you could use it for charging your devices. Quick update from the future. After showing them the issue I had with the display shutting off and just the slight damage on the fender, they decided to send me a whole new bike. So they said customer satisfaction is their #1 priority, and they decided to send me an entire new bike to keep trying out. So, I'll probably let Jen ride this one. We got Mr. Turbo over here hanging out. What do you think, huh? What do you think of the bike? You're an old man now, aren't you? Come on, let's go. That all being said, I think we can wrap this one up. I do really like the bike, and I'll probably be holding on to it for a little bit. I like it more than the Avon Trek I have. Otherwise, thanks very much for watching. Always appreciate you guys checking these videos out or any feedback you leave. Sometimes they get a little bit boring, but definitely more electric transportation videos coming, and we'll get back up to Manhattan and do some more exciting things. So thanks for watching, and I will see you again in a future video. Hey Gus, come on. He won't come unless I start going. All right, bye boy. And he's like, what? Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh, you're fast. Look at you go. All right, this is the manual for the Vulcanus. And on the specs, I was just looking, it says 64 pounds. That's not accurate. I weighed the bike. It is 72 pounds. It shows range 60 miles. So I don't know if you can really go by these specs completely. Next couple pages are just safety, which we're going to skip because it's pretty much just like wear your helmet and some obvious things like that. But I will go through each of these pages for the display because, well, this is not the most user-friendly display I've seen. With this style, you kind of do need the instruction manual, so you guys can pause. I haven't even read all this yet, or any of it, so I was able to figure out how to use it basically. But if you want to change all the parameters, you will probably want to glance through this. So I'll try and just go through this real fast because you guys, you can always pause. And I occasionally reference back to these videos too, but like with this, I will keep this manual because, like I said, you can't really make all these adjustments without it. Sorry, sometimes this thing doesn't focus right. And there's quite a few pages on it, so we got some error codes, I think, coming up too. I doubt anybody's still watching. I mean, there's only, what, 5 buttons on the display, but still going. You know, it's important to throw these on too, because these companies don't always have the owner's manuals on their website. Almost there. Okay. I don't know why this thing blurs out certain words. It's nice they show you a pinout on it, in case you have to make any corrections. Battery tips, and I believe that's pretty much it. The rest is using the bike. Alright, cool. Hopefully that helps.